fans! My name is Jacob Boyd, and I'll be presenting to you today the San Jose Sharks versus the Boston Bruins game review. Well, Sharks fans, the Sharks lose to the Boston Bruins by a final score of 3-1 tonight, or last night, I should say, slightly off my 4-2 Bruins win prediction. But there wasn't any big injuries to note for this Sharks game last night. Only just to mention, Marc-Edouard Vlasic's gameplay was the only thing hurting by the advanced stats metrics. Let me go ahead and show you guys what some of those metrics look like. This is game score. It's part of the hockey stat cards stat composition. It takes in stats for a specific night or game for that night. It then takes a player's minutes per game, shots on goal, goals for, goals against, and expected goals for. Shown on the game score for this one, just go ahead and take a look at the very bottom of this stat track where it shows Marc-Edouard Vlasic's name. And it clearly states that Marc-Edouard Vlasic is in the -7 range. It gave us a good glimpse into, what Marc-Edouard Vlasic's discrepancies were, and that was on the defensive end. Well, for that matter, on both sides of the ice. He really wasn't in the offensive zone too much, because if they were, it was really him being the reason why there was a goal scored on the other end of the ice. But yeah, he totaled the -7 in all phases of the game. He was the worst player in hockey of the whole NHL in last night, or for all of last night's NHL games played. That's a rough one, Sharks fans. When you have the worst player on the ice for our Sharks team, you're not going to win that game in most cases. So unfortunately, it had to be Marc-Edouard Vlasic not putting in the effort in last night's game, which shows on these advanced stats. The advanced stats here show that he played 13 total minutes, which is not a lot by any means, even for a third D-line pairing defenseman. When he was on the ice, he gave up 16 total shots in the game. He had 2 goals against when he was on the ice, and then his 2.8 expected goals against when Vlasic was on the ice as well is just horrendous. And, the Sharks aren't going to win too many games if that play is going to keep up with Marc-Edouard Vlasic. But unfortunately, we got to move on. And, you hope that Marc-Edouard can, get going in the better direction for the next game if we even see him. I don't know what Coach Quinn's thinking, but that was a pitiful game on all ends of the ice for Vlasic. I felt that, Marchand's goal was a bad play by Mario Ferraro and Alexander Barabanov. And I'm going to show you guys the look on that here. So let me pull that up for you guys. So I'm going to slow this down into like a slow motion view so that all of you guys can kind of keep up with what I'm about to kind of go over. So you'll see here that the defenseman, number 19 on the Boston Bruins, has the puck in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen with my cursor. He's going to pass it down to the guy on the left half wall in his teammate Brad Marchand. And I'm going to go ahead and play it here. You'll see that Alexander Barabanov is kind of covering the point player. He actually should be on Marchand, and Giovanni Smith should be on number 19, but it ended up being that Barabanov kind of takes the pass. So right here, I'm going to stop it here. You'll see that Barabanov is in the trail position where Brad Marchand already has the puck, and he's has the lane closest to Capo Kakinen, the Sharks goalie. And you'll notice, watch the back check of Alexander Barabanov here. It's really, just disrespectful for all the Sharks on the ice on what he does here, because he just uses one hand on his to lift up his stick and just kind of like tap Marchand a few times on the butt, basically. You'll also notice that Mario Ferraro, the defenseman that's closest to Brad Marchand, near the center, near the face-off dots, you see he's pushed back too far and giving him this Brad Marchand the space to move closer to the goal. You never want to see that positioning with a Sharks defenseman. You either want him to be closer to the puck carrier or closer to the end half wall. I'm going to play it a little bit longer here. Brad Marchand skates in. Now, Mario Ferraro, you could tell what he's thinking here is he's trying, he knows he's going to shoot the puck or at least give it to the Boston Bruins guy down in the corner here. But Marchand notices that Barabanov is way behind him and he can get the shot on net. Barabanov takes his one hand on his stick, taps him a few times on the side there, and allows this. Ferraro doesn't block his shot. He needs to get his feet into the actual stick lane, but he doesn't do either of those. He lets the shot through. Both guys are just in terrible positions, and it goes in top corner. And Capo Kakinen, may want that one back, but I blame this one on that Barabanov Ferraro pairing where they just didn't do a good enough job in terms of blocking that shot or giving a better effort from Barabanov to skate and move his feet and then be able to hip check or get into the side of Marchand and check him but he didn't do either of them. He wanted to do the easy route and not back check. So that was goal number 1 for the Boston Bruins. I wanted to go ahead and get into goal number 2 here, where James Van Riemsdyk makes it 2-0. Everybody, in the hockey sphere was wondering what was going on with this goal. Should the Sharks review it? Should they not? It ended up being that the refs came back and told Coach Quinn that even if they reviewed this goal, it was going to be a goal anyways. I personally don't agree. I don't think that by any offensive player shoving the puck and the pads back into the goal or the goalie back into the goal, should it ever be a good goal. It wasn't, where somebody shoots it in. He literally pushes Capo Kakinen's pads into the goal for a goal, and somehow the NHL comes back and says, yep, they would have called it a goal either way. But let's go ahead and play it here for you guys. You'll notice that I'm going to reverse it a little bit here. You'll notice that it starts in the defensive zone of the Boston Bruins. They get it. They make a nice outlet pass here. I'm going to stop it here. Jan Ruta at the bottom left of your screen is too far off of the guy that's holding up play in the center ice who gets the puck here. You'll notice that Giovanni Smith is back checking. But then he has a nice, the Boston Bruins has a nice outlet pass to the sidewall, nearest sidewall here. Jan Ruta then backs up into his own zone instead of holding up that blue line posture. So we call it the neutral zone, right? So if he holds up play there, there's no way if he just takes the time and space away from the Boston Bruins player, he'll be able to negate the transitional speed into the offensive neutral zone by this Boston Bruins player. But he ends up backing up and allowing the guy get speed to go and drive wide on Jan Rutta. Rutta does a nice job here by keeping him behind the goal line, though, so I'll give him credit for that. I did not like his play in the neutral zone, though. You'll see that Marc-Edouard Vlasic is covering the guy in front. Jan Rutta is basically saying, hey, I'm letting this player go behind the net. Vlasic, once he stops up on the side goalpost here, Vlasic should be then taking the guy coming around the net. So I'm going to play it a little further. You'll see that also Zetterlund is exactly where he should be. He should be on this side of the ice right now, but you'll notice where he ends up. So right here, I'm going to stop it. Vlasic reads the play late. He then starts to go to, I think that's Charlie Coyle, who has the puck. Rutta then takes the guy in the middle of the crease here, which is good. And then, so let's go ahead and roll it. Vlasic then comes out to the puck carrier. Smith has to go posture to the defensive guy, so he's doing the correct thing. But Vlasic goes all the way out. Vlasic doesn't take the time and space away quick enough. It allows Charlie Coyle, the Boston Bruins guy, to spin with the puck and then throw it near the crease. But then you'll notice number 11 and number 20. Number 20 is not doing anything in this position. But you'll notice that number 84, Jan Rutta, has that number 11 guy on the Boston Bruins, okay? So he's covering that front of the net. What should happen is Cunnin should see that Zetterlund is where he's at. He should be taking number 21, who's, not being covered at all on the side net here. I'm going to play it a little bit further. He throws it in front of the net. Nope. Number 11 is going to get tied up by Jan Rutta, right? But then number 21 is able to stuff it home because Luke Cunnin does not take that man and stop him from getting a quality shove into the net. So I think Zetterlund and Cunnin have similar responsibilities here. One of them should have been on that guy on the side wall there, and neither of them took them. It ended up to be a goal. Another bad defensive play on the second goal allowed the Boston Bruins to be up 2-0 right at the end of the first period. Going to the third goal here, I'm going to go ahead and, show, where Vlasic gets caught pinching. So right here on this, on the cam, the Sharks are in the offensive zone, and this Boston Bruins player on the defensive zone threw it off the dasher boards here. Marc-Edouard Vlasic tried to pinch right here, number 44. He tried to pinch and keep the puck in, but all he did was slow it down, and it gets by him. So once it gets by him, Vlasic is now behind the Boston Bruins 3 offensive forwards and is in trail position. And that's never good when you only have one other Sharks defenseman back and then all other Sharks behind 3 other Boston Bruins players. I'm going to play it here. You'll see that Marc-Edouard Vlasic is beat by David Pastrnak, who's number 98 here. You'll see, 88. And then you'll see Pastrnak gets it, and Vlasic does do a good job by getting back and hitting him. And I thought Cunnin does a great job by getting back and taking his man on the sideboards away. And then there was just a puck that gets hit into the net. And I don't fault anybody but maybe Kako Kakinen, where he shouldn't have came off his post. I don't think he came off too early and it allowed for a goal. But what happened in this play was it was really that start of the play where Vlasic stepped up in the offensive zone and didn't keep the puck in, and it allowed for that transition to be a 2-on-1 and this goal. So unfortunately, all that happened and more defensive breakdowns, which led to goals. But then now I wanted to get into the Sharks goal, and let me go ahead and show you guys this one. So it was off the faceoff. Tomas Hertl kind of goes even with the Boston Bruins player. It kind of goes into this area where the Boston Bruins winger and Burrows get tied up. Hertl does a nice job coming out of the face-off dot and winning that race to the free puck, and then makes a nice sauce pass to Anthony Duclair. And you see Barabanov here kind of driving the net. Duclair builds a wall and just throws it to trying to get it a pass to Barabanov there. And you notice that it just goes off of the defender that Barabanov was driving the net. It hit off that defender and went in. So it's actually Anthony Duclair's goal because Barabanov never touched it. But it was good on all three forwards in this one, where Hertl semi-wins, loses that draw, but gets the puck and makes a great sauce pass to Duclair. Duclair drives the net, builds the wall, and passes it and deflects in. So the Sharks get their own creative bounce, just like David Pastrnak did on his goal. So that made it 3-1 with about 8:50 remaining in the game. And then the Sharks were all over Boston from then on, but just couldn't muster up yet another goal to make it that 1-goal game. And it was unfortunate because I thought that was the Sharks' best period of hockey this season. But I wanted to go line by line on some of the and show how the Sharks fared in this one. The line number 1, Barabanov, Hertl, and Duclair line, I thought was the best line tonight. As Hertl had his team high 4th assist. Duclair got his first of the year, and I thought Barabanov had a nice drive to the net like I showed you, which allowed for the goal to happen. And then, I just thought that, Hertl was very noticeable tonight all game long. So good for that line. Line number 2, Zadina, Bordelot, and LeBanc. I thought LeBanc was noticeable on the ice tonight with, a few offensive zone shots. He was active throwing his body around when he could. I thought that, he did have one bad turnover in the offensive zone, but it didn't amount to anything for Boston. So that was fine. You kind of expect, a player like LeBanc who is, trying to create offense, make some tough passes, and not always work out. Zadina does show, a good effort tonight, like has been, in all the games. Just a little bit more quiet than the past couple games, but overall not a bad performance. And then Bordelot actually had a pretty decent performance as well. Some offensive zone time in that third period was pretty good. Some hold up play and everything like that. Bordelot did look good. But overall, just an average performance for this line. Nothing too good, nothing, off of the score sheet for the other team against them. Then you had Eklund, Cunnin, and Hoffman. I thought Cunnin and Hoffman, had a bad game tonight, just like Hoffman's past performances for that matter. Really been disappointed in what he's been doing, but no offensive sustained zone pressure. Really bad couple shifts in terms of the defensive end that ended up being goals. So as a whole, and then Eklund actually had pretty good hold up play in terms of like behind the net, few shifts, deking and diving, trying to create offense for that line. But eventually, the Boston Bruins looked a little bit bigger and stronger and knocked them off the puck a few times. So either way, as a whole, bad performance for this line. Line number 4, Smith, Sturm, and Zetterlund. I thought Sturm did fine tonight, but I didn't like Smith and Zetterlund's game as I felt that they lost battles and weren't in the right defensive posture, which allowed for that one goal. So it's unfortunate for those guys because I thought those two were having, a really good start to their season. This was kind of a step back, in my opinion. D pairing number 1, I thought Ferraro and Burrows were pretty good in terms of the overall night. They had that one breakdown in terms of for the first goal, but nothing spectacular from Ferraro. He did have 6 shots on net though, which was, pretty good for him, and not really many giveaways. So that's also a good sign. But I wish he did play that one defensive positioning a little bit better on that first goal. D pairing 2, I thought Kanishov, Ruta were just okay. Kanishov was good, Ruta bad. So Ruta had a giveaway and his defensive positioning was, not as good tonight, especially with not taking away the neutral zone space against that Boston Bruins player. In terms of Brad Marchand coming in and scoring that goal. Wish he could play that one better. Kanishov had a pretty decent game though. I thought Vlasic had the worst night. D pairing 3, I thought Vlasic had the worst night in the whole NHL. I have not even just this game, but whole NHL. I already mentioned all those plays about stat track and all that info that I showed you guys earlier. But Benning didn't have his usual block shots either. He only had 1 tonight. So, I wish, Benning could have held down the fort. He tried to on one of those 2-on-1s when Vlasic stepped up. I thought he played that one pretty good, but unfortunately it just went off of him and went into the net. All in all, it was just another loss at the hands of another playoff contending team and a team that is up there in the standings, I believe, and they don't even have a loss this season. So unfortunate for the Sharks. They had to face 4 top of the standings type teams in 4 straight games and, 4 playoff teams, in my opinion. So I believe the Sharks' next game could be the first win of the season against the Nashville Predators. So Sharks fans, check out my next game preview tomorrow as the Sharks go on the road for their first road trip of the season. But that's going to be it for me, Sharks fans. My name is Jacob Boyd, and I'm with Hello Sharks fans. If you like this video content, please like this video below. Thanks for listening, and peace.